In this episode, we are going to see how Kikuyus name their children. Like any other tribe or language, we have names that portray season and events. But for example, among Kikuyus, we have a name that is called Morioki. Morioki is a name named after somebody. When somebody dies, when a child is born, every time a child is born, nowadays we call it child mortality or something, where a child is born and still young and the child dies. We didn't have vaccination those days, so the fourth or fifth child is called Morioki, meaning that he has resurrected. Or even Morioki may be named after somebody, and they believe that whoever is named after has reincarnated himself into that child. This is similar to a Luhya name, Makoha. Many people do not know that Nabongo Mumia, his real name was Makoha. Mumia was a nickname that stuck. Just like Kenyatta was a nickname that stuck, everybody knows. Even in the village, they know Jomo Kenyatta. But if you ask them his real name, Kamau, very few people know. And if you ask even people from Mumias, Nabongo Mumia's real name, they don't know, but it is Makoha. That is a name for Morioki, somebody who was born after so many stillbirths. We have even other names like Nyokafi. Nyokafi is a Maasai lady. Kikuyus call Maasai Akafi. Now, a lady, we have Nyambura, Nyakenywa, Nyawera. But when it comes to a Maasai name, they find it hard to call Kusienya and such names, and so they just call her Nyokafi, a Maasai lady. So you find that somebody called Nyokafi, a lady called Nyokafi, has another name, but they use an easier name. We have also so many. They are, just like any other tribe, we have names which show a period of hunger, period of joy, period of whatever. But mostly, over 90% of the Kikuyus are named in the following sequence. Now, God plans. God can plan that you have kids of one gender. You can have up to 6 children of one gender, and then the second one becomes the first one of the other gender, and so and the reverse. Say you can have 4 or 3 girls and then have 4 or 3 boys, or you can have, first of all, you start with the boys and then you start with the girls. So irrespective of what God plans, this is how Kikuyu parents plan. The eldest boy, now the eldest boy may be the 6th child, because you have 5 daughters or something like that. So the eldest boy is named after his paternal grandfather. The eldest girl, and as I've said, you could have 5 or 6 boys and the 7th is the girl. So we are only talking here of a situation where of the eldest girl, irrespective of whether she was the firstborn or the fourthborn. The eldest girl is named after her paternal grandmother. The second eldest boy, second eldest boy is named after his maternal grandfather. The second eldest girl is named after her maternal grandmother. The third eldest boy is named after his paternal uncle, eldest paternal uncle. And if the father is the eldest son, so the honor goes to the second eldest. It is considered that if, like me, I am my mother's eldest son. Now, if it comes to the boy who is supposed to be named after my eldest brother, and I am the eldest son to my parents, then the second eldest brother is considered as the eldest brother. And the third eldest daughter is named after the second eldest. The third eldest daughter is named after her eldest maternal aunt. She is named after her eldest maternal aunt. Now, supposing her mother is the eldest daughter, then the honor goes to the second eldest daughter, who is after her mother. For example, if my wife is the eldest daughter to my parents-in-law, and we have a daughter, the daughter cannot be named after my mother, after my wife. She will be named after my sister-in-law, who is the second eldest. It goes on that way, that way, that way, and it will never end, because the man has two parents, the woman has two parents, those are four. If the man has 6 siblings and the woman has 6 siblings, those are 12 plus 4, 20. Well, I don't know whether a woman can deliver over 20 kids. But then we have some exceptions where the naming has to go on this way. For example, and I'll give you a practical example. My own grandfather had no siblings. He had no brother, he had no sister. When the turn came for my mother to be named, of course, my grandfather had a mother and had a father, but he had no siblings. So when it came to the turn of my mother, who was the third born, when it came to the turn for my mother to be named, my mother had to be named after my grandfather's eldest sister. And as I've said, my grandfather, Kareithi, had no sister. What did they do? They went to the archives. The archives is not like the Kenya National Archives we have in town. The archives was to go to elders and said, suppose he had a sister. Then they go and say, they follow the lineup and say, if Kareithi had a sister, the sister would have been called Agatha. She had to be called Agatha. And that is how my mother got the name Agatha. Although she later was called Karike, because she used to beat up those, they are bully boys. So whenever a boy was bullying small kids or girls, she would beat that one. And people would say, Karinge, Karinge, Kachape, Kachape. So my mother acquired a name just like Mumia and Kenyatta, which overshadowed her real name. But here I'm saying that should somebody have no siblings, then they go into the NECTOP archives and find that if he would have had a sibling of that nature, then the child would be that way. So, viewers, that is how Kikuyus name their children.